Okay, let's see how much of this I can get away with. So, that's turned off, that's turned off, that's turned off, that's turned on, and I think everything is live and ready to go. So in that case, why don't we go ahead and we'll get into it. Okay, hello, Shadowcat back. We're back with more Warhammer 40k. We're back with the tabletop stream. I've been waiting for this one. I've been looking forward to this one. It's going to be a good one. Because we went back and took a look at the Imperium again, because I had just kind of written them off as being, you know, the normal, the humans. They're the ones that you play when you can't think of anything more interesting to do. Turns out, though, it's not entirely right. I'm not just talking about like from a lore perspective. The Imperium has lots of great lore, but from a gameplay perspective, it's okay. It's just okay. But that's okay, because we can make this work. We looked at some of their guns. They've actually got a nice little arsenal of fun things to play with, and so we're gonna make that work for us. We got a good start on them. We got their flashlights done and a few other things. But today we got to finish them up, and then we'll probably see if we can knock out their vehicles, because I don't think they have too many of them. I know that they have a few, but there's so many different patterns. Like they have a tank, and then they have a million different patterns. We don't need to do every pattern. We just need to do the tank. So we got a couple of tanks to do, maybe a couple of jets to do, and that's, I think, about it. And then after that, I don't know. Maybe we finally move on to psychic powers. We'll have to wait and see. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to need, of course, our browser. And we're going to need our spreadsheet. Because we gotta have somewhere to put this stuff. There we go. Alright, let's take a look at what we got so far. So last time, we got the last guns done, we got the hell guns done. And we did the last guns and the hell guns. We did the rifle, we did the pistol, we did the hell guns, we got the long last done. And I was going to get the Gatling gun done, but then I kind of got distracted or tangentialized or whatever word you want to use. Either way, we didn't get to the Gatling gun. I wanted to get to the Gatling gun, but we didn't. So, we get to the Gatling gun today. And that's going to be fun. We're going to enjoy this. We're going to have fun today. Okay, so, with this being said, there's a lot of things that had to be taken into consideration with the Gatling gun. And, I'm not sure how exactly we're going to do that, but we're going to take a look at it and try to make this work, because it's going to be a very strange weapon, I think. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing we have to do is we're going to have to copy this, because we're going to need it. Oh, wait, what are you doing? No, don't do that. I want to copy, not paste. There we go. Alright, now. Gatling gun. And we'll paste that in like that. Perfect. Now, we're going to need to have a few different tiers, and then we're going to look at exactly what does it do. So, Gatling gun 1. Gatling gun 2. Gatling gun 3, and Gatling gun 4. In terms of levels, this is probably not going to be a level 1 weapon. At least I don't think so. But let's see if we have some kind of analog in Starfinder. Because there might be, there might not be, I'm not sure. Like, we're going to take a look at heavy weapons and see if there is something in there. So that's all ammunition and grenades. I want heavy weapons. Actually, you know what I want? I want automatic. Okay, because a Gatling gun, of all things, is going to be automatic. And hey, JP is in the chat. Hello, JP. Good to see you. I salute you. You made it. See? See? Told you. I salute you. Okay. So, automatic. So, auto beam rifle. I don't want rifles. I want to go like straight to, I want to go straight to heavy weapons. Here we go. So, lasers, projectiles. Okay. We've got machine guns. These are squad machine guns. So, analog and automatic. Analog, automatic, analog, automatic. So, it looks like the highest tier machine gun is a heavy machine gun. It's analog, it's automatic. The thing about automatic, though, is it's a choice. And I think the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to strip out choice. Because Gatling guns do not have a single fire option. Gatling guns don't even have a burst fire option. They are automatic or nothing. So it's not just going to be that it's going to be automatic, it's that it's going to be only automatic. And so what I think I'm going to have to do is, when we make the Gatling gun, we have to make a note that it only fires in automatic. It's also going to have to be unwieldy. This heavy machine gun is a heavy weapon. Okay, we're in heavy weapons. Right? Oh, that's my laser. Wait, did I go too far? No. Yeah, yes. These are heavy weapons. So this heavy machine gun is considered a heavy weapon, but it's not considered unwieldy. And unwieldy, I think, is going to be important. So weapons with the unwieldy special property are large and awkward. They cannot be fired without cooling down first, or otherwise difficult to use. You cannot use an unwieldy weapon as part of a full attack or any other action where you can make multiple attacks, and you can't use it use it more than once per round. And you cannot use it to make an attack of opportunity. So that's about right. I mean, you're not going to get necessarily more than one attack per turn with the Gatling gun. So that being said, we're going to make it unwieldy. We're going to make it automatic. It has to be fired automatic. So then at that point, we're just kind of looking at, you know, what kind of damage and range does it have? And to that end, the machine gun has a range of about 60 feet. And I think that's pretty good. I mean, this cannon has an effective range of 30 feet. The reaction cannon, which is just, you know, it's essentially carrying a small howitzer. That has a effective range of 100 feet. I'm thinking that we can borrow the machine gun, actually, the heavy machine gun here is 120 feet. I think we can run with that. Let's see. Machine gun medium, 60 feet. Machine gun light is also 60 feet. Machine gun squad is also 60 feet. So they're all 60 feet until you get to that last one, and then it's 100 feet. Or 120 feet, rather. So I think we can do a little bit better than that. And the heavy machine gun does 7d10. I think we can kick that up a little bit. I think we can. Alright, so let's start with levels, because it's not going to be a level 1 weapon. I'm thinking that we'll borrow from the Hell Pistol and kick it up to a level 3 weapon. Alright, and yeah, we're going to borrow that. So copy that, paste it here. And that should be fine. Price we won't worry about right now. Damage. So the machine guns are doing D10s, and I think that I rather like the D10s, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go with 1d10, and that's going to be piercing damage. We'll kick it up to a 2d10 piercing. We'll go to a 4d10. Oops. That was the wrong button. 4d10 piercing. And I think that an 8d10 piercing. And let's just double check to make sure this actually fits in. Because this is pretty standard, but that's also pretty standard for starting at level 1. So 1d10 for level 3 weapon. This squad machine gun at level 4 is doing 1d10, so that checks out. The light machine gun at level 8, and we're comparing to level 8, does 2d10. The medium machine gun is doing 3d10 at level 11. We're doing 4d10 at level 13. I think that tracks. And at level 18, 8d10. This heavy machine gun is doing 7d10 at level 17. Yeah, that tracks. So I think damage-wise, we're right in line with where we want to be. So this is going to be perfect just the way it is. Range. So the heavy machine gun caps out at 120. The lighter machine guns are 60. So I think we're going to start at 60. So it's going to be 60 feet. And let's see, if we went 80, 100, 120, I think that would work. So 80 feet, 100 feet, 120 feet. I think that looks good. Critical. There's going to be no critical on this. Okay? No critical effect. And I want to actually take these and center them. There we go. That looks so much better. Alright, capacity. So it is analog, which means it is going to use bullets. Let's take a look at what we've got for bullets. How do we buy bullets? Because if you're using a Gatling gun, you're going to be going through a lot of them. Alright, so for bullets, we have rounds, small arm, rounds, long arm, and sniper, rounds, heavy. It's probably the heavy that we're going to go with. Price, cartridges, and charges, this column. So heavy is going to be 20 of them. And I suppose that's fine. Actually, I do wonder. What caliber are Gatling guns usually? Because should they be heavy or should they not be heavy? The machine gun is usually firing rather large bullets. In particular, the heavy machine gun that was used in war fired 50 caliber rounds. So I'm going to use my phone here. Gatling gun caliber. Let's see. I don't want the AI version. Here we go. This says 30 caliber. This one says a 45-inch caliber. 45 inch. Inches and calibers are not the same thing. The U.S. Army adopted Gatling guns in several calibers, including 42 caliber, 45, 70, 50 caliber, 1 inch, and something else. That's from Wikipedia. Do I not understand calibers? Let's see. Later on, they got the 30 caliber Army with conversions to the 3003 and the 3006. The 4570 weapon was also mounted on some U.S. Navy ships. 4570... Wait, is that where the 70-inch came from? Now I'm starting to feel really dumb. Is the barrel measurement considered, because a 70-inch barrel, that'd be a really long barrel. 70-inch barrel is like more than 5 feet long. Well, then again, I mean, I guess if you're mounting it on a vehicle, a 5-foot barrel is not really that extreme. Not for a large weapon. And JP says 58 caliber and 30 caliber. Okay, so that puts us in a rather weird position. Because, like, 50 caliber is absolutely a heavy round. A 30 caliber is really not. I mean, the 5.56 round is considered a rather light round. Although I'm not sure or how we're defining these, because let's see, the 5.56 and the 7.62 are, or no, they're different. It's 5.56 and what is it? Oh, 5.56 and the 223. They're the same. 223 is caliber. 5.56 is millimeters? Yeah, I think it's 5.56 millimeter. Which is 5.56 actually. So that's millimeters, and it's equivalent to a 22.3 caliber. So yeah, that's a super light round, which is used pretty standard. 30 caliber is not that much bigger. So we're almost talking small arm there. But then again, like I said, 58 caliber is definitely heavy. And JP says, is there a Gatling laser? I do not know. We'll get to that in a minute, I guess. The question is... Alright, I'm going to go with the heavy rounds just because I think that we need to. Okay. I'm going to go with the heavy rounds because I think we need to. So, when we're doing this then, we got to keep in mind that when it is automatic, it has to fire its entire magazine at once. This leaves us in a weird position because one of the things that the Gatling gun does really well is it lays down an ungodly amount of firepower. However, you as a player actually have to buy ammunition for this. If I go ahead and say that the Gatling gun has a capacity of 100 rounds, okay, for like a real Gatling gun, that's nothing. Because Gatling guns can usually unload thousands of rounds a minute. But let's just say that, 100 round magazine. Since it's automatic, that means you will have to dump all 100 rounds in one turn. Which is weird. And I don't think we're going to do that. Actually, I wonder now. This is going to be a complicated question to get the answer to. Gatling gun rate of fire. So I need a small, like, man-portable Gatling gun here. So here we go. First off, on this little graphic that I found, is the M134 minigun. The cartridge it fires is the 7.6... Holy crap, it's a minigun that fires 7.62s. For those of you who don't know, the 7.62 is the same thing the AK-47 fires, as well as a lot of other weapons, but it is not a small bullet. So it fires 7.62s, muzzle velocity is 2,800 feet per second, I really don't care. The firing range... Now, when they say firing range, I wonder if they mean effective range or lethal range. They probably mean lethal range, because it says 3,280 meters. We can simplify that and say that it fires 3 kilometers. That's over a mile. I don't know that I would call that effective range. I mean, snipers do not consider a mile to be effective range, and snipers excel at shooting things a mile away. I think that's lethal range. And the rate of fire is 2,000 to 6,000. Now here's why I want to know this information, because we can take the number of rounds that it fires in a minute and divide that by 10, and that should give us our that should give us the capacity, or the number it uses per turn. Number 2 is the MG45. It has a rate of fire of 1,350 to 1,800. Number 3 is the M1919. That does 1,200 to 1,500. The MG42 is about 1,000 to 1,500. And the MG3 is about 1,100 to 1,300. So if we divide those by 10, because 6 seconds per round, that's 10 rounds in a minute, we're looking at about 100 rounds or so. Give or take. 100 to 200. I wonder what the normal capacity for a Gatling gun is. So, early Gatling guns could fire around 200 a minute, but each magazine only held about 20 rounds. That's the AI answer, though. We can do better than that. Let's see. The original Gatling gun only held 36 rounds. So, I mean, there's some trivia for you. Okay, so the Gatling gun held no rounds as such. It was magazine fed. I thought a lot of them were even belt fed. This Gatling gun, this is an anecdote. This is from Cora, by the way. Said that it had a 20-round vertical magazine. A lot of these numbers are actually pretty small. So the FA-18EF 20mm M61A1 6-barrel Gatling gun. Now that is absolutely not portable. Okay, that is mounted in a jet. That fires at 4,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute, but it only holds about 400 rounds. So, even though these things are capable of firing massive amounts of firepower, none of them seem to have an incredibly high capacity. So, here's what I think we're going to do. I think we can actually keep this roughly the way it is. None of these carry hundreds of rounds, even though they can fire hundreds of rounds. Since everything seems to be incremented in 20s, sniper rifles, this heavy machine gun holds 100 rounds at max, with automatic being an option. What I think we're going to do is I'm just going to give the base model 20 rounds, and I'm going to up it by 20 each time. Alright, and The usage is going to be the same every time. So the usage is 20, 40, 60, and 80. Because this thing only fires in automatic. The bulk of this thing, the heavy machine gun, which can be fired as a normal rifle, is 2. I'm going to make the bulk of this thing 3. Because it's a Gatling gun. It's a big gun. Alright, and special. This thing is going to be unwieldy, analog, and automatic. Alright. The Gatling gun is obviously a heavy weapon, and it only fires in automatic. Okay, so not bad, I don't think. It may be a little weird. Oh, and JP says, I'd rather have a CIWS Phalanx mount. Is that the one in the boat? When you say Phalanx, I think of the Phalanx system, which is an anti-missile or anti-rocket system. So I think it's like the big cylinder-looking one that's got like a huge ammo drum on top and the Gatling gun sticking out the bottom. Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong, because I think that's what it is. Also, you can't have it because you can't carry it. I think that thing weighs probably about 25 tons. Actually, I take it back. You can have it if you can carry it. Good luck. And JP says, does it give an intimidation bonus? Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that for a second, because the answer is no. But the answer is no because this is the stat block for it. Do you see Intimidate anywhere on here? The answer to that, of course, is no. There is no Intimidate on here. When it comes to Intimidation, it's a tricky thing. It's a fluid thing, okay? Because what is intimidating to one person is not going to be intimidating to another person. If you're going up against a battle-hardened soldier who's already fought in 3 different wars during their lifetime, okay? They are like this 50 or 60 years old grizzled war veteran with one eye and a scar across their face, okay? Maybe they've got one mechanical arm that's got a built-in bayonet or machete or something like that. They're wearing a bandolier across their chest. They've got this battle-worn uniform that's been patched over so many times that it's being held together by threads. You walk up to this guy, you brandish a Gatling gun and tell him to back down. Do you really think he's going to be intimidated by that? The answer is he's going to laugh at you and say, "Is that all you've got?" I'm going to take that thing, I'm going to shove it so far up your ass that I'll be able to grab your leg and fire it. So, do you get intimidation bonus then? Not really. Now, conversely, let's say that you've got a sidearm, okay? And I'm not even talking about a fancy sidearm. I'm not talking about a plasma pistol or a shotgun or anything like that. A simple semi-automatic pistol. Okay? And you're in a civilian setting. You walk into a building. I don't know. Maybe it's a home. Maybe it's a store. Whatever it is. You pull out your pistol and you threaten the person inside with it. Will that give you an intimidation bonus? Almost every time the answer is going to be yes. You're brandishing a pistol against a person who has no defenses, no experience, no nothing, okay? They literally do not know what to do if you pull a pistol on them. And are they intimidated? I think they are. And if that person is intimidated by A pistol? If you had a Gatling gun pointed at them, I don't think you even need to roll on that one. Yes, they're just intimidated. Okay? Intimidation is very, very difficult to gauge because it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on, number one, what's your relationship with the target to begin with? What are your experiences? What are their experiences? What's their will like? You got to take in a lot of factors, and that's before you even start rolling the dice. And this is something that you don't really need to worry about. It's something the DM has to think about when you say, is this person even capable of being intimidated? And if they are capable of being intimidated, how far can you realistically move that person? When we talk about the grizzled war veteran, even if you did intimidate him, do you think he's going to cower? No. At best, the war veteran will be hesitant. But hesitancy only goes so far. That means that you might get one action before he regains his resolve. Whereas a civilian that you pulled a gun on, you might be able to do whatever you want with that person for a long time because they're just not going to try and fight back while you've got a gun on them. Now, that is not to say, though, that you cannot use your weapons to intimidate. And in fact, I think that if you're going to try to intimidate someone, you should. Either have a high charisma or a big weapon, okay? It's literally the Roosevelt strategy. Walk softly, carry a big stick. Okay? You do that, everything else is going to go your way. So, it could give an intimidation bonus in the right circumstances, but you're going to have to really judge those circumstances when you attempt it. And if you misjudge, you might end up in trouble. Intimidation is not to be used lightly, because intimidation usually has consequences later on. Now that we've got this built, does it actually match up with what we were doing? The Punisher Gatling Cannon. Recent to Imperial Guard, it pours out more ammunition than anything else in the Imperium of Man. It's based on killing infantry, and to clear the way of infantry for other tanks. Due to the fact that it is new, it is very rare, only seen in the battlefield with the Punisher variant of the Lehman Rust, but of course due to their firepower, there's a high demand for them. I don't know, sounds like we got that about right. Good enough for me, I suppose. Alright, so what do we have next? So we got that done. Next up is the Melt-A-Gun. So the Melt-A-Gun, with the Melt-A-Gun, I want to have something that's very anti-armor. Because that's what it needs to be. Plasma weapons, we got plasma guns and plasma pistols. We've already got those. The only difference between the plasma weapons here and the plasma weapons that are already in Starfinder is, I believe, that plasma weapons by default in Warhammer get hot. And we don't really have that. So far we only have the get hot mechanic on the Hell pistols. And I mean, I'm actually inclined to leave that as a thing for them. So yeah, we're gonna skip that. We're gonna move on to Melta weapons. And we'll figure exactly how we're gonna do this. So there is only one Melta weapon here. They call it the Melt-A-Gun. It is a slightly more stable anti-tank weapon. Instead of utilizing plasma to kill the target, Melta weapons use a two-part injection system that forces a mixture of pyrum petrol gas into a submolecular state, creating an extremely volatile mixture that will literally vaporize pretty much anything, reducing them to nothing but molten slag. It is considered a mark of courage to bear such a weapon in the Imperial Guard, as the melta gun toting soldiers often expect to attack heavily armored targets, destroying them in a matter of seconds. So we're looking at a very heavily anti-armor weapon. We are looking at a close-range weapon, which is why you got to send them in first, and they got to get close. However, we're looking at something that if you manage to pull off the getting close part, which is going to be hard enough, we're looking at something that should absolutely destroy whatever it hits. Okay, so this is essentially an anti-vehicle weapon, and as it is an anti-vehicle weapon, we can't just ignore the vehicle cover, because there's really no way to do that. What I can do is, we already have a rule for it, and it's called penetrating. So a penetrating weapon designed to punch through a large object's outer layers, make it easy. A penetrating weapon ignores an amount of hardness equal to the weapon's level, which is great. I love it. It's fantastic. The problem is that these jump like really, really large numbers. So like the light reaction cannon here, it has penetrating. It's a level 1 cannon. It ignores 1 hardness. The next reaction cannon is the tactical at level 7, so we're jumping from 1 to 7. That means that if you wanted penetrating firepower as your character grows, like that's the one thing that you care about, you could be stuck using this level 1 reaction cannon for like 6 levels. Which I guess is not the worst thing in the world. We are talking about 1d10 damage. The level 4 machine gun does 1d10. The X-Gen gun does 1d12. So those are all in line. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe it's actually fine. Maybe it is. Okay, yeah, we can work with that. Okay, so melta gun. Melta gun. I see this as being a long arm. We'll paste that. And we're going to go with melta gun 1, melta gun 2, melta gun 3, and melta gun 4. Okay, now in terms of levels, I don't think it needs to be as high as the Gatling gun or the Hell guns, but I don't think it belongs on the same level as a laser either. So what if we go with 2s? What if we go 2, 7, 12, 17? So that means that the melta gun 1 will be able to ignore 2 hardness, and then melta gun 2 will get to ignore 7. So that should be fine. Yeah, that should be fine. But we got to make this thing special. It can't just be a penetrating weapon. We already have penetrating weapons, right? What do we do to make this thing special? Oh, I bet I know what makes it special. How about a fire weapon? Nope, the laser weapons are all fire weapons, and they all have penetrating too. Okay. Alright, let's read more. Can we read more? What can we do to make this thing special? Okay, what makes it special? Melta gun, called a fusion gun, melta, or cooker, is a powerful... Get this thing out of here. Short-range anti-armor weapon that produces an intense, energetic beam of heat in the tens of thousands of degrees centigrade. The melta gun is used by Space Marines, the troops of the Astra Militarum, and other military forces in the Imperium of Man, such as the Orders of the Adeptus Sororitas. Oh, the Sororitas love melta guns. If it burns, Sororitas love it. Let's see. Melted weapons emit devastating, intense, but short-range blasts of heat, which can melt through almost any material. Melted gun works by inducing a minute submolecular reaction within a highly pressurized pyrum-petrol fuel mix located within an ammunition canister, then projecting the resulting plasma through the canister and from the weapon's barrel in a blast of incredible heat. Melted weapon usage is accompanied by a distinctive hissing sound as the melted beam boils away water in the air, then a roaring blast as the beam reduces the target to charred scraps of molten slag. Functionally, it has more in common with a plasma gun than a flamer. While the flamer is used to incinerate large numbers of foes at short range, the melted gun is used to attack point targets. And JP says, it cooks you to death. You melt. What are the special do you need? Well, okay. Allow me to ask you the question then, alright? Okay, allow me to ask you the question then. To be fair, I suppose I am still looking at heavy weapons there. Let's look at plasma here. Line unwieldy. Line unwieldy. So here's laser weapons. These do fire. Plasma weapons are fire and electrical. Oh, here we go. Okay, never mind. We do have something special for it because I classified it as a long arm, not a heavy weapon. It's going to be a penetrating long arm. Because I don't think there's a single long arm here that has penetration. Nope. None of these have penetration. Okay, never mind. That's our special. Alright, so it says it has more in common with a plasma gun. However, it is still burning. It's burning plasma, so it's going to do fire damage. This is going to do D8, so 1d8 fire, 2d8 fire. I already have this, don't I? Yes, I do. Okay, there we go. The range. Okay, so the range is going to be short. That means that when I increment our ranges, I'm probably going to go by 5s. So let's go ahead and start with a 20-foot range. Okay? Just 4 squares. It's pretty close. Next up, we'll go with 25 feet. 30 feet, and at max 35 feet. Okay, critical. So if I look at plasma weapons, they have burning criticals, which I'm good with. I think that's really good for them. So we'll give them a burning critical. Burning critical is going to be 1d4 fire, 1d8 fire, 2d8 fire, and then 4d8 fire. And that should be good. Let me put spaces in here. There we go. That looks better. Alright, so what we have here is a weapon that does fire damage. It has pretty short range. However, if you happen to roll a critical, you also get to set the thing on fire, which is great. Everybody loves fire. Capacity. This thing is going to have to use petrol. So, no, I don't want the crystals. Flechettes. Petrol tank. Okay, so petrol tanks come in either 20 or 40. So, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 20, 20, 40, 40. And the usage, of course, is going to be 1. That way, you get lots of shots out of it. The bulk. Since it is just a long arm, I think it's going to be 1. That should be fine. And the special, of course, will be penetrating. Alright, and I think that'll be a pretty good melt-a-gun. Pacey Unicorns in the chat asking, is it a British gun? As it turns out, no, it is not a British gun. Although the Imperium is kind of British, so I guess we'll have to... Well, we can debate that later on. But no, it's not a British gun. I don't know, did Britain ever use flamethrowers? I thought that was strictly the US that was using flamethrowers. Now I'm kind of curious. Because it's kind of the closest thing they got. Let's see. Let's just ask the internet. Did the British use flamethrowers? Let's see. The British experimented with flamethrowers in the Battle of Somme, which they used experimental weapons called Leven's Large Gallery Flame Projectors. That sounds like something out of Naruto. I mean, Madara's big attack was the Majestic Flame Destroyer something. I don't even remember now. That sounds like something out of an anime. I guess they actually did use them in World War II, though. So, yeah. In answer, then, yes, it could be a British gun, I suppose. It could be. And PC Unicorn says it should use gas, then. Well, I gotta work with what I got. And there's no gas down in the ammunition. See? I mean, you can see it. We got darts, flares, flechettes, mini rockets. We got rounds for small, long, sniper, and heavy guns. But I only have petrol tanks. Gotta use what I got. Okay, so that's how it's gonna be. It occurs to me I should probably be labeling these things, honestly. So, capacity... Maybe I should put it up here, actually. So, long arm and petrol. Just so it's, you know, it's labeled there. Okay? So, we're good. We're good there. Okay, so we got the melt-a-gun. And I'll be honest with you, I like it. Like, if I was making a character, and I had the option of getting one of these, I like the melt-a-gun. I do. Okay, so, that brings us to the big one. Okay, brings us to the big one. The bolter. This is a gun that we're probably going to have to spend a bit of time on. And we're going to spend a time on it because it is such an important weapon. It is important to the lore. It's important to the game. Bolters are important. And for that matter... there's a lot of different bolters, so we better get this straight. Melt-a-weapons, flamers. Okay, here we go. Bolt weapons. So the bolt gun or bolter is normally only seen in the hands of Space Marines. It is possible for an officer or veteran to get their hands on such a fearsome weapon, sized for an unaugmented human. It fires a mass-reactive explosive bolt with depleted deuterium core that detonates on contact with the target as its standard issue ammunition. So every time I have seen bolters used, even by Astartes, they are two-handed weapons, which makes me think that the bolter or bolt gun is a long arm, even though it's not too long. The bolt pistol then is a bolt pistol. The heavy bolter is a heavy weapon. The storm bolter is weird. So, we're going to start with the long arm version. So, bolter 1, bolter 2, bolter 3, and bolter 4. Now, as for levels, the levels on these things are going to have to be high. So that's going to be 5, 10, 15, and 20. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. The problem with making a gun at level 20 is that by the time you hit level 20, then it's like, well, you worked all this time for it and you barely get to play with it because you don't really get to advance too much more after that. You can. I mean, epic level campaigns do exist. Let's go with 4, 9, 14, and 19. Okay, that way you still get some time to play with it. The damage. Okay. Here's where things are going to get real interesting because the bolter is essentially just a rifle, but it shoots grenades. Now, when we look at these weapons, we can see that the grenade, where's grenades? Here we go. All the grenades are in here, and all of them have their They all have their stuff listed. So, like, frag 1 grenade. It explodes. It does 1d6 piercing damage with a... not sure if that's a radius or diameter. Special effects and the radius of the explosion. So, it does a 15-foot radius. So, that's the square that it's on, plus 3 squares in all directions. It's significant. So, that's listed there. The grenade launcher is here, though. And this has a lot. The damage is by grenade. The range is 60 feet. And it can hold 6 grenades at once. The higher level one can hold 12 grenades at once. Okay then. So first questions first. Let's do a little bit of research here. Let's go with 40k. Bolt gun range. How far do these things shoot? So the range of a bolt gun. Basic stats. Range fall off is 45 meters. Okay, 45 meters. Is where it starts to fall off. So 45 meters is a lot. I mean, just quick and dirty math. If a meter is a yard, then that's 45 times 3 is 90 is 135. And I don't know that I can give them that. However, I think we can go ahead and just say 120 feet. Okay? 120 feet. And that should be great for those. And, I mean, maybe I can push it up even further. 130 feet. 140 feet, 150 feet. Okay. And that's the wrong place. Let's put that there. Okay. Damage. The damage has to be left blank because it doesn't actually do the damage. Critical. Again, doesn't have a critical because it's essentially just the delivery system. So we do that. Capacity, though. We'll go with 6. Actually, no, hold on. Let's look it up. So, bolt gun capacity. So a bolter magazine holds anywhere from 20 to 30 bolts. Simple answer. I love simple answers. All right, 20 to 30 bolts. We'll do that. So 20. Well, hold on. Let's go with 15 actually. 20, 25, and 30. So you're always advancing. It should feel good when you get that new weapon and you can finally use it. Usage is going to be 1. The bulk on this thing, though, because it is a bolter, and because it is made for a Space Marine, the bulk is going to be 2, even though it's classified as a long arm. So, long arm, let's make sure I get this labeled long arm. And it fires bolts. Okay, and special. It doesn't really have a special, honestly. It's just a bolter. The special part is in the ammunition. And even then, mechanically, there's not a whole lot special about the ammunition, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, we got a bolter. And it looks fine. I mean, you grab this thing, you run in, you pew pew, bang bang, explode. It's good. Next up, we're going to need a bolt pistol. So, bolt pistol. So, bolt pistol 1, bolt pistol 2, bolt pistol 3, and bolt pistol 4. Again, because it is a bolter, we're going to use the same levels. And the interesting thing about this is because it uses bolts. Small arm. And it uses bolts. Because it uses bolts, that means that this thing essentially is going to do the same amount of damage as a regular bolt gun, just in a smaller package. So we're going to go ahead and cut the range down. And I think I'm going to cut the range down by about half. So we'll go with 60 foot, 70 foot, 80 foot, 90 foot. Okay? The damage we can copy down. Capacity, though. We got 15 capacity on the Bolter 2. I'm going to turn this into a 6-shooter. Okay? It's going to be a 6-shooter. And we're going to go 6... 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay? Usage, of course, is going to be 1. The bulk, however, because this is a thing that fires bolts, it's going to have 1 bulk. Okay? Super simple, super easy. It's just an adapted version of the bolt gun. However, now we get into the heavy bolter. Now, the heavy bolter is going to be really, really heavy. Like, it's going to be 3 bulk at a minimum. Why? We need to give a reason why you would want to bring a heavy bolter instead of a regular bolter. So let's go look at the differences here. So a bolt gun is a bolt gun, we know that. Let's look at the heavy bolter. So the heavy bolter is a powerful bolter weapon that is used for anti-infantry and fire support roles. It is also known as the backbreaker or the bruiser because of the great weight and amount of damage it can deal. A heavy bolter uses the same principles and technology as standard bolters, but unleashes a much larger and more explosively powerful bolt. It possesses much larger ammunition capacity and rate of fire. Unlike the bolt gun, the heavy bolter is relatively common in the Astro military army because often used by space marines. Heavy bolters have a high rate of fire and are relatively cheap to field. PC Unicorn says, in the best count from Sesame Street, 4 bolt guns. Oh wait, we found another one. 5 bolt guns. Who are you? Who are all you people? No, I am not a heretic. No, I am not a mutant. I'm a vampire. Leave me alone. No! And the Count was never heard from again. It's unfortunate the Inquisition had to come for him eventually, but after they got Big Bird, it was really just, a matter of time. It's unfortunate. Elmo's still on the run, okay? Nobody has seen Elmo in 3 years. There's still some people who suspect that Elmo may be alive, but there's a very good chance that they got him already. And Oscar? Oscar went deep underground. It's suspected that Oscar is hiding out in one of the Imperial hive cities. There's actually theories that believe that Oscar may be in charge of one of the Undercity hive gangs. No one's willing to go looking for him. Okay, so the heavy bolter can be mounted on the mounts of Imperial armored vehicles. We knew that. So it's really just a bigger version, and it fires bigger bolts. I don't want to have to make more bolts. I really don't. Does the bolt pistol use smaller bolts? So the bolt pistol, standard use, yes. They've been seen in service for a long time. They're used by many Imperial forces. Let's see. The bolter pistol magazine carries 6 to 10 rounds of standard bolter ammunition. So yeah, the bolt pistol uses the same ammunition. It's just the heavy bolter that uses heavy bolts. And then the storm bolter is essentially a double-barreled version of the regular bolter. Yeah, double-barreled version. Okay, so I don't want to have to make a whole bunch of different ammunition, okay? I really don't want to. And there's a lot of bolter ammunition, okay? Like, I really don't want to have to do this. We've got standard bolts, Hellfire rounds, Stalker silenced rounds, Inferno bolt rounds, Ulysses bolts, Metal Storm frag rounds, Kraton penetrator rounds, Psy bolts, Bane strike bolts, Blood shard bolt rounds, Dragon fire bolt rounds, Scorpius bolts, Seeker bolts, Shrapnel bolts, Tempest bolts, Vengeance rounds, Anti-phasic shells, Stable flux core bolts, Implosion rounds, Witch bolts, Hyperfang rounds, Executioner rounds, Mortis bolts, D. Reverent shells, Hell spears, thermitic penetrator rounds, inertial fusion bolts, Witch Seeker bolts, and then the magazines. There is absolutely no goddamn way I am making all of those. I am sure as hell not making all of them in standard and heavy versions. So we're going to have to cut that list way down. That's just ridiculous. But we're gonna have to do bolts and heavy bolts. Okay. We're gonna do bolts and heavy bolts. All right, heavy bolter. No, don't have that. Undo. Copy. Paste. I can copy these over. Actually, I think I can copy pretty much everything from the bolters over, except for the bulk. So, heavy bolter 1, heavy bolter 2, heavy bolter 3, and heavy bolter 4. We can adjust range capacity if we need to. Let's see. So the heavy bolter uses the same principles technology as standard bolters. It does possess a much larger ammunition capacity and rate of fire. Now, as much as I know that bolters can fire in automatic mode. I know this for a fact. I am not giving them automatic fire. Because that means that actually, okay, I need your input on this one. I need your input as players. I can give bolt guns automatic fire. You have to understand, however, number one, these things fire grenades, which means that every point or every target that actually, well, essentially, if the bolter has 20 rounds, it's not going to be a matter of roll to see what hits and what misses, which is how normal automatic fire goes. With a heavy bolter, every single shot fired is going to do some kind of damage. So even if you miss your target, you're talking about a cone, because they fire in cones. Every single shell that misses is going to have to explode at the end of that cone, which is going to be a lot, because the normal bolter up here has a capacity of 30 rounds. That means with a full magazine, if you went automatic, it would fire off 15 rounds that would all explode. This could be absolutely broken in terms of damage. You also have to understand that this is something that could be turned against you. So if you happen to have a bolter, yes, you can just switch this thing to automatic, run up to the front, and empty the entire magazine in one go. It also means that somebody could do that to you. How well do you expect to fare if a Chaos Space Marine were to run out and fire the entire magazine at you. I feel like giving these things automatic is nothing but game breaking. Lore-wise, though, they should get it. And honestly, part of me is inclined to add automatic just because I want these weapons to be terrifying. It's already firing grenades. So, I mean, the only way to make it more terrifying than that is to fire even more grenades. So I need to hear it from you. Do you think that this thing should be automatic? Or is that just simply so broken that we cannot even consider it? I'm going to leave that question up to you. You let me know in the comments. PC Unicorn says that give it a burst with potential to hit anywhere in the cone, including your own face. We already have that. So if I give it the automatic property, you don't have to necessarily fire it in automatic. You can give it one shot, so semi-automatic, or mag dump it. So you have the option. However, if you roll a 1, there is always the chance that it can hit you. I mean, in particular, when I handle critical misses, I will generally have whoever shot roll again to see what they hit instead. If you manage to roll a 1 twice in a row, yeah, you are the target. I mean, I might just have you roll damage for every round still in the magazine. A double critical fail, something or someone out there wants you dead. JP says makes more sense as a single shot to me. Well, if it has automatic, you can still fire it in single shot. Only the Gatling gun is forced. And that's because Gatling guns don't do single shot. A Gatling gun only has one trigger, and that's just to spin it up. It doesn't say there's a lot of support to making these things automatic, and I am honestly fine with that. I don't think it needs the automatic. So I'm thinking that we're just going to leave it off for now. If we want to revisit it later on, we can. I just think that it would be way too devastating to make it automatic. Okay. Besides, if you really want automatic fire, we can move on to the Stormbolter after this. But we need to fix a couple of things. So the Heavy Bolter has a larger ammunition capacity and rate of fire. So larger ammo capacity. I think that we're going to go with 20, 30, 40, and 50. Now, here's the thing. By the way, these things fire bolts. Bolts will be sold individually. Just like grenades. So, if you want to pick up a bolt weapon, I hope you've got the money to actually feed the thing. Alright, last one then, before we actually have to start on the ammunition. So, the Stormbolter. This is going to be a long arm. It fires bolts. Okay, there we go. Oh, heavy bolter fires heavy bolts. There we go. Now for the storm bolter, it is pretty much just a regular bolt gun. So we can just copy and paste everything from up there down here. JP says, I imagine a dead soldier in the battlefield with one of these in their hand. As riggers set in the hour straight, the trigger is pulled in full auto mode. So just this shower of shells that goes firing everywhere. Okay, so the difference for this is going to be, and let's go ahead and take a look at it. Storm bolter. So as it is heavier, causes more recoil than a normal bolter. It is even more rarely used than the bolter by the Regiments Astra Militarum. It does see limited use among the Order's Militant and Adeptus Sororitas, where it's considered a specialist weapon. Due to the high munitions consumption and the lack of dexterity available to the wearer of Terminator armor, most storm bolters are fed from a large box magazine carrying approximately 100 bolts. These bolts are identical to those fired from bolt pistols and bolters. So it does fire twice the ammunition, but it looks like they've actually compensated for that. More so even, because it seems that, bolt guns are relatively low capacity. I'm just going to check here on that capacity again, because I did a Google search for it, but I want to make sure. Let's see. Sisters of Battle. Bolter ammunition types. Other bolt weapon. Bolter magazines. Here we go. As well as the different types of ammunition available, they have several different types of magazines. A standard magazine for the bolter is the sickle magazine. It is the standard issue magazine seen on most patterns. It carries 20 to 30 bolts. Straight magazines, it holds less ammunition, only 10 to 20. Drums can carry 40, 60, or even 100 bolt. There's belt fed, because everything is better when it's belt fed. And the Durplus X. Oh, and that's just two standard magazines that are attached together by some means, usually cloth or tape. I've seen those before. They even make things to hook two magazines together, so you just pull it out, flip it over, put it back in. I should probably get one of those. I don't have a gun that would use one of those, though. I don't actually have a gun that has a magazine in it. It's not one like that. I should get a gun that has one. Oh, time to go shopping. Okay, anyway, 20 to 30 bolts is about right. So, when the Storm Bolter says it has a different magazine, I think we can go with that a little bit. So, for the Storm Bolter, I'm going to double these. I'm going to say 30, 40... 50 and 60. However, the usage is going to be 2. Okay? I'm also going to kick it up to 3 bulk because they did say it's very unwieldy. And so that's fine. Since it is a regular bolter, just double barrel, the range is going to stay the same. However, because it is a double shot, it is going to shoot twice. It has to shoot twice. And so the special is going to be just double. up here I'm going to say double this weapon fires twice. Roll 2 attacks as normal. That's a little overpowered though, because why would you take... If I leave it as it is, what reason do you have to take a regular bolter over a storm bolter? I mean, the regular bolter is one bulk lighter, but do you really care about that? One bulk is not sufficient. No, this thing needs to have some kind of drawback. Roll 2 attacks at normal. Roll 2 attacks. No, not as normal. At -2. And that should be sufficient, I think. So you get to fire twice, but every single shot that you fire has a -2 on it. Now that does mean that if you are a soldier at level 4, you're still in the positive strictly on your base attack bonus alone. So what if we up that a little bit? What if we make that a -4? Okay? So that means that at level 1, you are, or at level 4 rather, the first one you get, you are essentially losing your base attack bonus if you are a soldier, and you're going negative base attack bonus if you are any other profession. Then, as the levels go up, you might actually exceed that. It also means that, you know, if you're level 19, the -4 probably doesn't bother you that much. I think that's good. I think that's really good. So the capacity still ends up being the same as the bolter because we doubled the capacity, but the usage is 2 now. The bulk is increased to deal with the extra capacity. I think this is good. I like it. So it's your choice. Do you want to have more firepower or more reliability? Regular bolt gun is going to have more reliability. Storm bolter, more bullets downrange. Pretty good. And I think that's essentially the only bolt guns that we really have to deal with. That's all it's listed here anyway. But if we get into other bolt weapons, there's the bolt pistol, the heavy bolt pistol, the combi bolter. What is that even? Similar to a storm bolter, twin-linked bolter, or combi bolter is simply 2 standard pattern bolters slaved to fire together. It was a bulky and somewhat crude but very effective weapon prototype that gained widespread use at the time of the Horus Heresy. So essentially, just tape 2 rifles together, put a stick on the trigger, or across both the triggers, so that you can pull both of them at once. That's a wonderful idea. Nobody could ever get hurt doing that. Storm bolter we just did. Heavy bolter we just did. The assault bolter. It's a handheld pistol version of the conventional heavy bolter outfitted with a large box magazine and high-speed autoloader. Yeah, we don't need that. The Avenger Mega Bolter. Deadly, formidable, rapid-firing weapon notably used by the Dark Angels, the Space Marine Chapter's Elite Second Company, known as the Ravenwing. Wow. So this is so specific, it is used by one company of one chapter. It's also mounted on aircraft, so yeah. The Vulcan Mega Bolter, an immense pneumatically driven, 5-barreled, air-cooled, electrically fired rotary weapon that makes use of heavy bolter ammunition. Commonly mounted on Imperial Titans. Now, see, I wish that I could make Titans, but, like, I don't know if there's a reason to. Then again, we made Tau Titans and Eldar Titans. Why shouldn't we make an Imperial Titan? Bolt Rifle. The archetypical firearm of the Adeptus Astartes, obviously. The Auto Bolt Rifle. But altered to make use of high-capacity drum-shaped rotary magazines. The increased rate of fire comes at the cost of range. Okay, so if they had to make auto bolt rifles, maybe the bolt guns are not automatic by default. Maybe they just pull the trigger that fast. Maybe. Okay, so then maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe we just leave them as is. We don't have to think about it. The Stalker Bolter, modified with an elongated barrel and an M40 targeting system, range-finding scope. It is used as a precision assault rifle by highly accurate snipers. Snipers, okay. I'm not making a sniper weapon. I don't think that bolt guns need to be sniper weapons. We have other options. Bolt carbines, marksman bolt carbine. Yeah, we don't need to make a whole bunch of these. Oh, and there's the actual sniper rifle. The Mark III Shrike Pattern Bolt Sniper Rifle. The optical sights of this weapon can be tailored for any situation, from thermoscopic vision to precise auspex scans that can penetrate several meters through solid matter. You know what? Actually, I take it back. Let me throw it back to you. Should we make a sniper rifle? We did all the rest of them. We've got a pistol. We've got a couple of long arms. We've got a heavy weapon. Should we do a sniper rifle just to fill in everything? Kind of thinking maybe now we should. Once marked, there's nowhere for an eliminator's prey to hide, no amount of protective armor that can stop the killing shot. The Bolt Sniper Rifle can be outfitted with special ammunition to deal with different tactical situations, including hyper frag rounds, executioner rounds, mortis bolts, as described above. Then there's the Instigator Carbines, Psi Cannons. So it's a more powerful version of the bolter, the equivalent to a heavy bolter utilizing high-caliber, psychically charged, ritually inscribed silver-tipped bolts. JP says, you're just going to make yourself come back and do it anyway, so yes. You know, that is a fair point. I'm going to come back and do it anyway. Okay, one more. One more. What's it called? Bolt Sniper. Bolt Sniper Rifle. It's a sniper. It uses bolts. I mean, you're right. I'm just going to come back and do it anyway. So we're just going to copy and paste. Bolt Sniper Rifle 1. Bolt Sniper Rifle 2. Bolt Sniper Rifle 3. And Bolt Sniper Rifle 4. Okay. This is going to be quick and dirty. Paste that down there because this thing is going to function as a... Or no, I don't want storm bolter stuff. I want just regular bolt gun stuff. Actually, I do want to give it the extra bulk. It's going to keep the extra bulk just because there's a bit more weapon there. Okay, and special, it's just going to be a sniper. So, how do we want to do this? Let's just give it a multiplier. I'm thinking if we give it a ×4 multiplier, that means it caps out at like 600 feet. And I'm okay with that. I mean, it is a bolter. I don't think it should be crazy long range. Otherwise, why would there be Vindicare assassins? And why would they not be using bolt guns? So, I'm just going to say... it's going to be a sniper... And do we make them unwieldy? Probably. Honestly, a lot of them could be considered unwieldy. If we know that they're not going to be automatic anyway, we could make all of them unwieldy, because unwieldy just means that you can't attack with it more than once in a turn. Again, they're large and awkward, cannot be fired with cooling down. You cannot use an unwieldy weapon as part of a full attack or any other action in which you could make multiple attacks. You can't attack with it more than once per round, and you cannot use it for an attack of opportunity. It's that attack of opportunity part that I think I have a problem with. Where's that grenade launcher? Here it is. Yeah, see, the grenade launcher is not considered unwieldy. And if the grenade launcher isn't unwieldy, then the bolters shouldn't be either. So, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So, I'm just going to say it's going to be a sniper at 480 feet. 130. What's my increment here? Okay, that's gonna be 520. So sniper 520 feet. That's going to be 560 feet. And sniper perfect at 600 feet. And there we go. So we got the sniper rifle. The capacity does not need to change. The usage doesn't need to change. It's just essentially a bolt gun with a better barrel and scope on it. Okay then. Now for the hard part. We got to get them ammunition. And the ammunition is done by, like grenades, so it's going to get really, really weird. So, 4 bolts. We need standard. And let's just go through these and see if they're worth our time even investigating. We're not going to spend much time on any of these. So, standard bolts are just standard bolts. Hellfire rounds. Devastating results in organic matter as the rounds were developed to combat the Tyranids. The corn tip replaced with a vial of mutagenic acid with thousands of needles that fire into the target upon shattering the vial, pumping acid into the foe. That sounds kind of specific. I was expecting something fire-based, not acid-based. Stalker silenced rounds. They possess a low sound signature intended for use in covert combat and sniping. No, we're not doing silent rounds. Inferno bolt rounds, designed to immolate targets and destroy them with superheated chemical fire. I think so. And the reason that I think so is because if we look back to here, grenades. Where are grenades? Okay. We have grenades for pretty much everything. We have cryo grenades for cold damage. Okay? We have decoupler grenades, which do corrosive damage. It's basically acid damage. Flash grenades, these blind. They don't actually do damage, and I don't think that there's a blinding grenade for bolt rounds. Frag grenades, these are your standards. Incendiary grenades, these set things on fire. Pheromone grenades, we're not going to deal with those. Screamers, they are sonic grenades, they deafen people. Then there's shock grenades, so they're electrical. Smoke grenades, which it's a smoke grenade. And sticky bombs, which explode with glue. So we've already got all of those options. We should probably have a lot of those. So we're going to want the Inferno bolts. Ulysses bolts. These contain a tracking device fitted onto large objects. This type of bolt will accurately report the target's relative position to handheld tracking device. I'm not going to do it, but if somebody wants one, I could probably make it available. It would just be a standard bolt, but with a tracking device instead of an explosive. Metal Storm frag rounds. They're best used against multiple lightly armored targets. They detonate before impact and spray shrapnel. I don't see a reason. We already have exploding grenades. Kraken penetrator rounds. These are Kraken bolts. Or essentially just crack rounds. Kraken, crack, anti-armor. They utilize their adamantium core to provide them with additional weight and stopping power. Also possess improved propellant to penetrate through the thickest Xenos hides. Upon impact, the outer casing peels away and the high-velocity adamantium needle accelerates into the victim, where the larger detonator propels shards of super-hardened metal further into the wound. These rounds are effective against heavily armored... It's essentially just armor-piercing ammo. So we can do that. How about that? We'll just say AP. Okay? So they won't explode, but you'll have armor-piercing rounds. Cybolts. We'll get back to that one. My knee-jerk reaction is to say no, but we haven't done Psychers yet. If we can finish up all these bolts today, we may start Psychers next time. Bane Strike bolts. These mysterious variant bolt shells believed to have been designed in secret. Don't care anymore. They're secret rounds. We're not getting them. Blood Shard bolt rounds. They're large, bolt-shaped shells intended to be fired from only by the Angelus pattern bolter. No, we're not doing it. Dragonfire bolt rounds. Hollow shell bolts used by Sternguard veterans and Death Watch. Nope, not doing it. Scorpius bolts. Individually handcrafted by Tech Marines. Nope, not doing it. Seeker bolts. Unique handcrafted rounds created by Chaplain Boreas. Nope, not doing it. Shrapnels. Modified heavy bolter rounds used by Iron Legion warriors. Nope, not doing it. Tempest bolts. Voltaic Wrath. So these are heavier, however they lack the range compared to standard bolt shells. Don't have to worry about that. They're effective against targets such as combat robots and cyborgs. They're electrical rounds, so yes. Tempest bolts. They're electric. Vengeance rounds. Developed for use against heretic Astartes of the Traitor Legions. They employ an unstable flux core technology that makes them hazardous to use, but incredibly effective against heavily armored targets, whether it's Chaos Space Marines or Xenos alike. How are these different from armor-piercing rounds? Because I don't know how. The unstable flux core technology makes them hazardous to use. Why? It doesn't tell me. I'm skipping them. Anti-phasic shells used by Death Watch kill teams. You're not getting them. Stable flux core bolts. Unearthed on the jungle world of Johann's Eden. The Adeptus Mechanicus sent upon the world. Come on, get to it. It barely tells me what they are. Oh wait. Flux core bolts can melt ceramite as if it were wax, just like vengeance rounds, but without the danger implicit in their use. It's just more armor-piercing rounds. Implosion rounds. The result of the early experiments with alternative crack technology, the implosion round replaces the explosive core with an infinitesimally small amount of antimatter. This creates a violently decompressing vacuum when exposed to matter. Mass reactive cores. It's just another explosive shell. We're not doing it. Witch bolts. Based on Black Templar designs. You're not getting them. Hyperfrag rounds. These are used only in the Mark III Shrike pattern bolt sniper rifle by Eliminator squads. They detonate in a shower of shrapnel, sending out a cloud of lacerating shards that devastates closely packed infantry. You've already got grenades. They're already going to be devastating to closely packed infantry. Moving on. Executioner rounds, also used by the sniper. These are sophisticated self-guiding. Slave to a miniature cogitator that can seek the target behind cover, even changing direction mid-flight with tiny bursts from ballistic propellant. Maybe. They would have to be like super expensive, but like if you want to hit your target, I'm going to go ahead and say okay. Executioner. Mortis bolts. They spew self-replicating mutagenic toxins on the flesh of the target, causing rapid and complete collapse of all vital biological systems, while making for a horrifying spectacle in the bargain. You know what? This sounds a lot like those anti-tyrannid shells. So I'm just going to say we're going to have corrosive shells. Okay? So it can melt armor, it can melt flesh, it's just going to be corrosive. We've got stats for that already. Revenant shells, developed by Deathwatch survivors, a cyclic temporal core found to disrupt Necron reanimation long enough for their remains to vanish entirely. You're not getting them. Hell Spears. They hide behind the warp's corrupting power. Sheathed in a proscribed material, these bolts can pierce their hellish psychic defenses. Anti-psychic rounds. You're not getting them. Thermic penetrator rounds. They're penetrator rounds. They're already AP rounds. We got them. Inertial fusion bolts. No, I don't think so. So a series of micro-vacuum wells collapse on detonation of this bolt like a crushing fist. They violently implode and cause horrendous gaping craters in whatever they penetrate. This is particularly useful against Xenos who possess regenerative capabilities or of a particularly large size. They're essentially just a black hole shell. I mean, I could. We already have black hole rules. I'm skipping them. They're too powerful. They wouldn't be fun. And Witch Seeker bolts. Metal casings forged from the blades of fallen battle brothers and blessed by devout priests of the Adeptus Ministorum. These bolt rounds are used as relics by the Black Templars chapter and have an unerring talent for finding their way to the heart of a witch. You're not getting them. We're not doing them. Okay, so that means that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to do. We can do that. Alright. So, standard bolt. So we don't have to do too many because we only have to do a level for each level of gun we have, which means that we just have to do the 4 levels. So what we're gonna do is we have level, price, range, capacity. I mean, we don't even need the capacity. And we don't need the range. We just need level, price, bulk, and special. So, bolt, level, price, bulk, and special. So, standard bolt 1, standard bolt 2, standard bolt 3, and standard bolt 4. The levels will be the same because it's got to match up with the actual gun. Price, bulk. These are all going to be light. And special. So we're going to be tailoring these similar to the frag grenades. And so the frag grenade at level 4 explodes with a 15-foot radius and does 2d6 piercing. And I mean that's good. I like it. I'm not going to copy it over. I'll just type it. So explode 2d6 piercing 15 foot. Right? Right. And we'll go ahead and set that there. So next is level 9. We don't have a level 9, we have a level 8 and a level 10. And they do 4d6 and 6d6. So we can split the difference and just go with 5. So explode 5d6 piercing and 15-foot radius. Next is 14. There is a frag grenade at 14. That is 10d6. Oh, I forgot the damage type. There we go. And the last one is level 19. Do they even go that high? Actually, they do. We have level 18 and level 20. That's 16 and 20. So we'll split the difference and just say 18. So it's going to be explode 18d6. And I already screwed it up. 18d6 piercing at a 15-foot radius, which is, you know, pretty big. And so there we go, standard bolts. And now that we've got this done, all we gotta do is make a few modifications to the other shells, and we should be fine. So for example, Inferno bolts. We can just copy this over. And we've got Inferno bolts 1, Inferno bolts 2, Inferno bolts 3, and Inferno bolts 4. everything about this is going to remain the same, with a couple of exceptions. So the incendiary grenades down here have kind of the same numbers. However, they do a little bit less damage because it's fire. They also burn. Now, is the burning automatic or is that just on a critical? It's labeled in there, so I guess it would be automatic if you got hit by it. So, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to use the same numbers as we did. Well, okay, not going to use the same numbers. I may knock the damage down a little. So, like, the incendiary grenade, we've got a 2 and a 6. 2d6 at level 6. No, it's pretty much the same. Incendiary grenade at level 8. That is 3d6. We've got 5d6 for level 9. Maybe if I knocked him down to like a d4. I could do that. The biggest thing I see about this, though... Oh, okay, they actually do get up to 15 feet later on. Alright, here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Explode. And I'm going to cut the damage in half, okay? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 1d6 fire damage. Then, I'm going to say 1d6 burn 15 feet. So the initial flash is going to do just 1d6 damage, but then you're on fire. So explode. The next level is going to be 5d6. That doesn't really work out nicely. I'm going to go ahead and just I'm going to cut it in half still, and I'll disregard the remainder. So 2d6 fire. 2d6 burn, 15 feet. The next one is much easier, so explode. No, not 10d6. 5d6 fire damage and 5d6 burn. At 15 feet. And the last one. Explode. .96 fire with 9d6 burn and 15 feet. I think that'll work well for those. So, yeah, you can take the standard bolts and they do just straight up damage and they do pretty good damage, or you can take the Inferno bolts to deal decent enough damage and damage over time. Although when it comes to burning, as you get into higher levels, people have better saves and the burn damage isn't nearly as guaranteed. Next is going to be Armor Piercing. So we'll copy this. And armor-piercing bolts don't actually explode. And that's going to be the interesting part about those. They do not explode. So all we really have to do with these is penetrating. And that makes them super easy. So if you get your hands on a bolter at level 4, and if you can get your hands on some AP bolts, then there you go. At least I'm relatively sure they don't explode. Because it was we had the different types, and they were essentially just sabot rounds. They hit the target, and yeah, here we go, the Kraken penetrator rounds. So the outer core peels away, the high-velocity adamantium needle accelerates into the victim, where a larger detonator propels shards of super-hardened metal further into the wound. It's essentially the same as those anti-tank shells, where they hit, and they just shoot a jet of hot magnesium through the tank. Does the tank explode? Yeah, usually, but it's not the shell doing it, it's the ammo on the tank doing that. So those are super simple. Next up we have Tempest rounds. So Tempest bolts. So we'll go ahead and copy that. We'll copy that. And we're going to say Tempest bolt 1. Tempest bolt 2, Tempest bolt 3, and Tempest bolt 4. Now, let's compare this to the shock grenades that we already have. Because we have shock grenades. There's really nothing special about these grenades except that they do electrical damage. In 40K, they talk about using them against robots and such. I don't know if that is something that is implicitly built in or not, but we can work with that. So these are all doing basically the same damage as... Well, they're not really doing the same damage as anything. Alright, so it's doing damage similar to the frag grenades, but it's reduced in die. So this would be something like explode, and since the frag grenade does 2d6, we would make this 1d12 electrical 15 feet. Next up is 5d6. That's 30. However, that's hard to reduce. So if it was a 4d6, that would be a total of 24. That would essentially be 2d12. So I think we'll just do that. We'll go along that line. So explode 2d12 electrical at 15 feet. The frag grenade then jumps up to a 10d6, so that's a total of 60. Again, that doesn't really reduce very well. That'd be like 5d... Well, no, it does. That'd be 5d12. So explode 5d12 electrical at 15 feet, and the last one was 18d6. What even is that? So it's 108. If we divide that by 12, it's 9d12s. Why do I need to do math for that? Have the number, double the number. 9d12s. I've been doing this too long. My brain is shutting down. Alright, so there we go. And that matches what we see in Starfinder, where they're using D12s for these because the more dice you throw at something, usually the better an average you get. The fewer dice you throw, the more you see the outer edges of the bell curve show up. Okay, so we've got that now. Next up was Executioner rounds. Now, the thing about Executioner rounds is that they will seek their target. So, these are going to be a little bit weird. So, since Executioner rounds automatically can seek their target, that means that these things are going to get bonuses on their attack. So Executioner Bolt 1, Executioner Bolt 2, Executioner Bolt 3, and Executioner Bolt 4. This can be copied down. Now, with the Executioner bolts, do they explode? So, Vengeance, Stable Flux, Witch Bolt. Here we go. Executioners. They're only used by that rifle. It doesn't really say anything. It just says that self-guiding missiles slave to a miniaturized cogitator that can seek their target behind cover. It does not say that they actually explode, although I have every reason to believe that they do. Here's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to let them explode. I'm going to have them do half damage, kind of like the Inferno bolts did. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to do that. Okay. So it's going to be explode 1d, move that up a little bit where I can see it, 1d6 piercing, 15 feet. Also, it's going to give an inherent +5 attack, roll, and ignore cover. So it is going to explode. It gets a plus. So when you roll your attack, you get a +5 on your attack, and you get to ignore any cover that they're hiding behind. However, these things are going to have to be expensive as hell, so don't count on getting one very easily. This is going to be 2, 5, and 9. So, explode 2d6 piercing. 15 feet. This will be a +10 attack roll, ignore cover. The next one will be explode 5d6 piercing at 15 feet. +15 attack roll and ignore cover. And the last one, as I'm sure you can guess, is explode 9d6 piercing, a 15-foot radius, plus 20 attack roll, and ignore cover. So yeah, super good. Like these, like if you needs to kill something, this is the way to do it. You might only have 1 or 2 of these shells in your entire armory, but you take out the standard bolter magazine, you put this one on top of the magazine, slam it back in, and then you take your shot. And whatever you wanted dead should be dead. Hopefully. Maybe. 1d6 isn't really that much. And the last one was the corrosive. So we're going to go with corrosive bolts. And this will be the last one we get today. So corrosive bolts, or bolt 1, corrosive bolt 2, corrosive bolt 3, and corrosive bolt 4. Little bit of a typo there. And while I'm fixing typos, I forgot to capitalize that one. Okay. So these are going to be very similar to the Inferno bolts, except that they're going to be acid damage. And when it comes to acid damage, well, I don't have a lot of good examples up here, so let's go look at something else. We've got these needlers. These are injection weapons, but I want something corrosive. So flame, shock, sonic, uncategorized. Cryo flame. Oh, I'm in melee weapons right now. Okay, small arms. So we've got cryo disintegrator. These are doing acid damage. However, these are injection weapons here, so the critical is all about just, you know, that. What I think that I want to do is I want to borrow from the fire stuff. So what we'll do is this. I'm going to copy the Inferno bolts. Just because I'm going to change a few things around here. So we're going to do acid damage, acid damage, acid damage, and acid damage. Okay, and then I want to leave the burn there because acid burns. It's what it does. It burns through things. And so if you get splashed with this, it's going to do burning damage over time. Because I don't think there is anything that really comes back on that. So conditions, we have burning, and burning usually does fire, so... But there's nothing for really corrosive damage. Unless I have an idea. What if we didn't have it be a burn? What if instead we made it so the acid deals damage over time that you can't get off? We could adjust our damage totals so that when you take acid damage, on the following turn, and there's nothing you can do about it. So what if we did this? What if we drop this down to, say, D4s? Okay? D4, D4, and then we could say... one D4 acid... immediately, and just say direct damage, and then 1d4 acid damage for let's go with 1d2 turns. Up here we can do the same. So 4 acid damage direct, and then 2d4 acid damage for 1d4 turns. So it's going to be lesser damage initially, but it could be more damage over time. So 1d4 acid damage directly, or direct. For acid damage for 1d6 turns. And the last one, change that to a 4 direct. We'll make that 94 acid damage for 1d8 turns. Alright, and so that differentiates it from the fire bolts. So the fire ones are going to do more damage up front. However, there is a chance that you could put the fires out. With this one, you take less damage, but you're going to take the damage whether you like to or not. Which might just make them a better choice. And so with that, I think we're good. We've got a nice collection of bolts. We have good ammunition for our bolters. And you can now use these however you really want to. I mean, if you want to slap a whole bunch of, say, corrosive bolts into your storm bolter and cover the area with acid, you can do that. If you want to just load up your standard bolter with regular rounds, you can do that too. But I think that does everything we need to for bolts. The only thing we have left now is chain swords and power weapons. And chain swords I think are pretty much done already. Power weapons, we really just need to have a template. So I think that when we get back here next time, we'll have to go through the melee weapons. We'll design the template. We'll take a look at vehicles, because I don't think they have too many vehicles. We can take a quick look at that, but we're going to be getting out of here. So, Imperial weapons, Imperial vehicles. Where's table of contents? Here we go. Enlistment, troop types, fast attack, and armored support. So they've got the Chimera APC, which we've done before, but we deleted that. We'll do it again. It won't take that long. Devil Dogs, Hellhounds. As far as heavy armored support, the Tank Hunter we'll look at, the Flak Tank we'll look at, but Lehman Rust tanks, we just got to make one Lehman Rust tank. And that's pretty much it. There's a few artillery supports that we'll look at, but it's mostly going to be a few fast attack things, one tank, more or less, and whatever happens to be down here in miscellaneous. So, that should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I know, today was a little more on the boring side, just doing a lot of grenades and stuff. But bolters are kind of an iconic weapon, and they had to be in there. Are they terribly exciting? Well, actually they kind of are, but they're not terribly complicated. It's just one gun with a million different variations of it. So, I hope I've managed to consolidate as best I can. I am looking forward to the vehicles, though. I want to see what they have. I'll do a little bit of research into what exactly they have in the meantime, because I want to be prepared. And I've got the Lexicanum, which we used for vehicles before, and that was really good. We'll probably end up going back to that as well. Because, like, they've got a page right here for Astra Militarum vehicles, and it's divided up into light vehicles, APCs, tanks, self-propelled artillery, heavy vehicles, super heavy vehicles, and then support. And when I look at things, there's some stuff in here that we don't really need. Like, there's a bike. It's just a motorbike. We don't need to make one. It already exists. A centaur. It's a bulldozer. We don't need to make a bulldozer. It already exists. So, yeah. We're just going to make a few of the vehicles. The few that, you know, really stand out. And that'll be it. So, the Chimera, which will cover all of its different patterns. We'll do the looks like the Hellhound tank is pretty much just a standard variation on the Thunder, maybe, I don't know. I think the Hellhound is pretty much the standard, and then everything else branches off of it. And even the Lehman Russ tank looks very similar to a Hellhound, so might be the same thing. You never know. We'll take a look at that next time. So, if you want to see what the rest of their gear looks like and what the Imperium vehicles look like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, that way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who's also into Warhammer 40k and you think that they might be into this kind of stream, or they're into tabletop games, and you think they might be interested in maybe 40k, share this stream with them. But if you just like me, you like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video. Thank you to everybody who came today. I was glad to see you. I was excited to get back into this. If you want to play with us, there's a Discord link below. I think I might have fixed it. Maybe I didn't fix it. I hope I fixed it. Maybe I didn't. If it's not fixed by now, I will go through and fix it again. But there's a link down there if you want to play with us. Join the Discord, come to the Behind the Screen channel, leave your information there, mostly just your availability, and I will see if I can get you into a group. It'll be fun. So, do that. Otherwise, if you just want to leave comments, you can leave comments in the chat before the stream ends. You can leave them down below the video afterwards. You can leave them on the Discord if you join it. But short of that, I guess I'll just see you here next time. So thank you again to everybody who came. JP, Unicorn, Blizz, I know you're out there. I know you're out there. I saw you out there. Thank you to everyone who came. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.